Alrighty, the goal for today's episode is to 100% this last quest in Act 3, Chapter 1. And that's what I'm going to do for today, and that will be it for this episode. I don't want to make it too long, and let's dive into it. And of course, by the title of today's video, you already know what the topic is going to be about. Of course, the first topic that I want to talk about, and that is the Studio Series 86 Devastator figure. So, it was at one of the conventions. I don't know what it was called. Hasbro had this, booth or something that they set up, and they showed some of the new things that are coming out this year. And of course, they had this unpainted prototype of what Devastator looks like when you have all the Constructicons combined together. And if you remember, the first two Constructicons were, I think, up for pre-order last year. I think that was when they went up. I don't know if they're out yet. I'm not sure. I haven't kept up with that. But I do know that recently, I think it was recently, they also had a stream where they showed what the Devastator looked like painted. I could be remembering things wrong, but I feel like they did. Um, and they did reveal a 2-pack for the next two Constructicons. And that 2-pack is not cheap. It is quite a hefty price right there. It is the price of a Commander class figure. So you're paying $89 for this 2-pack, and of course there's tax and everything, so it's pretty much roughly around like $90 plus actually. And yeah. Um this one's gonna be expensive, let's just put it that way. To get all the Constructicons to combine into Devastator for your shelf, I have a feeling that the investment in total for all the figures are not going to be cheap, because the first two figures, one was a deluxe class and the other one was a Voyager. So if you remember the prices for those, and then you have to add the price of this 2-pack, yeah, that's not a pretty number. It's not. But nevertheless, I think I might have to invest in this. I really want the Devastator. Can you blame me? Like, I don't have any Devastator figures at all. I don't. I've never had any combiners. Most of the Transformer toys that I had growing up was basically consists of Optimus Prime and Bumblebee. So, yeah, I didn't really get any of the other characters until like recently with the I'm saying recently, but this probably is like a few years now. Um, when they started the whole War for Cybertron trilogy thing, that was when I started to get other characters in figure form for the Transformer shelf. So if it wasn't for the whole War for Cybertron trilogy line, I wouldn't have some of these other characters. And now with this Studio Series line that they've been doing, and of course the Studio Series line has been, as I'm trying to speak here, has been doing the Studio Series 86 stuff, which is for the 1986 movie. It's cool that they're finally jumping into Devastator, because I've always wanted a G1 style Devastator, in that design. Was never a fan of the Michael Bay version because it just looked really weird to me. And yeah, because that was my first ever like time knowing who this character was because of that movie. And I think I said this in like some past videos, but like my exposure to Transformers was that 2007 movie. I didn't know anything about Transformers prior to that. Like, I never knew that this brand existed. I didn't know there were toys for these robots. And when that movie came out, that was my first time ever watching, giant robots fight each other. And in live action of all forms too, not even just like cartoons, but in live action. So when I discovered what Devastator actually looked like in the G1, I was like, what the heck did they do to him in this movie? Why did he look so weird? And of course, the designs in the movies are not the same as what they look like in the G1. So, you know, when I found out what he originally looked like, I was like happier with that design because it was very simple looking. Like he wasn't, he didn't look like a monster. But yeah, they made him look like a monster in the live action. So, and now it kind of makes me wonder, imagine what he would look like in this like what do you call it? This recent version of the Transformer cinematic universe if they didn't jump the gun and, you know, jumped into all kinds of plots in that second movie. Yeah. I wish they took their time. Like, look, I enjoyed that movie. I don't really hate it, but I don't really like it either because there were things that I didn't like about Rise of the Beast, and I'm gonna be honest with that. Like in terms of the fight scenes and all that, the action, that's always good. But in terms of like the uh the story, I wasn't really digging it because it just felt like it was all over the place too. Like, did they have to bring in the Beast War characters like this early on in this cinematic universe? Like, if they were trying to build something up, it would have made more sense if this second movie was about the Autobots on Earth and dealing with certain like smaller threats instead of like going straight into Unicron, not unicorn. I don't know. I keep mixing up this. Yeah, Unicron, right? And then also using Scourge's character. Like, look, I like the way he's designed in this movie. He looks pretty cool compared to his original design. But of course, I feel like they could have, brought him in later in the story and not, this early on, because this is like the second movie right after the Bumblebee one. And just imagine if the Constructicons were in this, right? In this universe. Because that was the one thing I liked about the first movie, was the fact that we got to see the characters in their G1 style design mixed with live action. And it was really cool. They didn't do a bad job at all. Like, they were recognizable, especially like the Decepticons and the Autobots, so you could tell who was who. So imagine if the Constructicons were in it. I wonder what they would look like. And if they looked really cool, there would have been like toys for them in that movie as well, not just the '86 movie that they're doing a whole wave of stuff for the studio. I keep saying studio series. It is studio series, but I mean the 1986 movie. So yeah, um, and of course another thing that I was thinking about when they revealed the Studio Series '86 Devastator was the fact that what if there's a chance that they might make one for Transformer One? And the reason why I thought about this was because wouldn't these characters exist in that animated universe too, in terms of that movie? Like, I wonder what they would look like with those designs. Like, it just I'm just like so curious now to like what they can do in the future. So, I'm not like worried that Devastator is gonna be, you know, a figure that sells out. Like, of course, because all the Constructicons are needed, and there are people that don't have Devastator like myself that are going to jump on this and buy all the figures, of course, when they keep rolling them out slowly. Um, I want this. I want to jump on this, but at the same time, I'm like telling myself they're gonna always make a new Devastator somehow. They'll find a way, right? Like they've been doing this for like the last 40 plus years. This is not the first time they have ever released a Devastator figure. So as much as I want this thing because it looks cool, the cost is just way too expensive right now for every figure that they're putting out. And since I do prioritize on a different line completely, I'm not going to jump on this right away. And I know that a part of me is going to be like, oh, I'm going to regret this, but I think it's better if I just don't. Because, yeah, at least they made it. At least they're making it. That's what I'm going to say. At least they're making it. At least I know that there's an option. And, you know, if If I do pick it up in the future, then I will. But if I don't, then I don't. So only only the future can can tell me what will happen when I get to that point, of course. So everything I say now, don't even, you know, probably is not going to come true. Like maybe I might end up getting all the parts for Devastator, and right now I'm just saying stuff, right? Because I know myself when I say that, it's like, oh, I don't need this right now. And then somehow, fast forward to like maybe a couple months later or a year later, I'll have all the pieces of Devastator. So, I know that something will happen. I know a part of me is gonna be like, nah, we're gonna get all the pieces. It'll happen, and then I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna be like, what the heck happened? How did I get here? So, but yeah, it's really cool that they're doing this, and actually, this just makes the start of 2025 even more interesting because, there was something else that they also showed. It was not just the Devastator. Devastator is probably the coolest thing, but they also showed a few figures that they are making for the Transformers Heart of Steel comic. I think it's called Hearts of Steel. I don't remember the title. Yeah, that is the title. Um, and if you don't know what that is, which I don't even know what that is because I've never read that comic, but I've seen the design for Optimus. And oh, excuse me, dude, I didn't mean to burp. I just had lunch earlier. Um, excuse me for that. Uh, okay, so basically, at this comic, from what I can understand, is that it's set in some sort of 1800 setting. I want to say, like it's like in the past, and Optimus Prime's alt mode is not a truck; it is literally a train, like the head of a train, which which is pretty cool and also very interesting because usually he's always a truck. So in this depiction, I don't know what the story is, but basically, I think it's like the same sort of story, right? Where they come to Earth, they encounter the humans, but their vehicle modes are not the modern day vehicles. And Hasbro's making figures for four characters in this comic. You got Optimus Prime, of course. Then you have Bumblebee, which I'm not gonna lie, Bumblebee's alt mode was a surprise to me. I did not expect to see him be a train. Like that was really surprising. I didn't even know that because I never read this comic. And I've seen the pictures of what the toy looks like. It's such an adorable alt mode. Like it's like a tiny little train and it's all yellow. And I was like, what the heck? I want this now. So not only do I want that Devastator, that whole thing, now I want the Hearts of Steel stuff too, even if I have no, knowledge of the story. But the alt modes look really freaking cool. So I like that. And oh, okay, we survived that somehow. What the heck? Okay. Um, and Megatron turns into a literal cannon. That's his alt mode. It's not a bad alt mode. It makes sense with the character because he turns into a gun. And of course, in all these other recent iterations, he turns into a tank now. Um, but it's quite fitting for him to turn into a cannon, which is surprising. So there's that, and then there's a fourth character which I don't remember. Is it Starscream? I think it's Starscream. I could be wrong. If you know what floor it was, if you saw the news, you can correct me in the comments if you need to. Um, and these are 2-packs. That's what's going to happen with these. They're going to be released as 2-packs, and they are going to be Hasbro Pulse exclusive. So that means that they're not going to show up in any other retail stores. Or I don't know. I don't know if it's going to be like a Hasbro Pulse exclusive or period, and then eventually it'll probably roll out to like other storefronts. I'm not sure. Because sometimes Hasbro does this thing where they make something a Hasbro Pulse exclusive, and then after like a period, it just goes out to the public, like to all the other storefronts, So I don't know what will happen here with this one, but this has me interested. And then not only did the 2-pack for those Constructicons go up for pre-order, there were two other Voyagers that they shown for the Age of Prime line that also went up for pre-order. and I kind of want to talk about these two as well. One of them is the main character from Transformers Rescue Bots. That's a show that I've never watched before. Um, I have no clue what that story's about, but the design of this character looks very interesting. I think he's supposed to be a fire truck, like a I don't know. I think he's supposed to be a fire truck. It's a very interesting looking fire truck. Let's just put it that way. Because the alt mode for this guy, I've never seen a fire truck look like that before, right? And oh, what is with me and doing stuff like this? Oh no, oh no. Okay, okay, we survived. All right. So yeah, that's basically what his alt mode is. It's like some sort of fire truck of some kind. But the point is, he looks pretty cool. I like the design of this character. Um, if you watch this show, do let me know what it's about. I've never watched this. I've heard of it, but the character designs looked very cartoony in their original show, and it wasn't something that really appealed to me. So, but this figure appeals to me because it looks like they try to basically make it fit the mainline stuff. Because I'm assuming that the original toys were not mainline toys; they were designed to be like simplistic toys. I could be wrong. I've never seen the toys for them, but it doesn't look bad. It looks pretty cool. And then the other Voyager class that they showed, that's also up for pre-order. I don't know where the guy's from. I'm assuming he's a Decepticon because he looks evil. Uh, or or yeah, he turns into a shark, and it feels very Beast War vibes because Beast War, a lot of the Decepticons turn into animals that look very evil, right? Like a shark is dangerous in real life, right? You don't want to be next to a shark because you never know what will happen. So this guy turns into a little shark, and I'm like, wow, it looks really cool. I like the alt mode. I like everything to him. Uh, and the more I see this stuff for the stuff that they're releasing this year and things that have yet to be released, it's a very strong start to this Age of Prime line. It really is. I have interest in it. There are a few figures that I actually really want to pick up, and yeah, and I think I will. Prima Prime, Solus Prime, Megatronus. Those three are good examples of Transformers that I do need because, man, when you're gonna make a whole wave of figures dedicated to like the original 13 primes, I want that. I want them in figure form. I don't think they've ever made most of the 13 original primes into figures. Maybe they have. I don't know. Maybe they have. But yeah. Um. So there were those two, and I think that's basically it with all the recent new stuff when it comes to Transformer toys. I say they're doing interesting stuff. I like it. I don't know how many of these I will buy, but the three that I listed definitely will happen. I do need them because that. Oh, speaking of Megatronus, so I did see a review on that figure. Yeah, I like the design of it. It's very evil looking, and it fits the design of him. Now, of course, I wish Hasbro made the one from this game into a figure because this is the design that I also recognize of Megatronus, and maybe in the future they will. I don't know. Or maybe they have made a version of this Megatronus into a figure, and I just don't know that it exists. So, but yeah, this other depiction of him, which I've never seen before, looks so cool. Like I love the fact that he has like these what do you call them? These furnace-looking designs all over his body, like in some parts of his body. You know what it reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Zurg from Buzz Lightyear. I don't know why. Like I look at the figure and I'm like, you remind me of Zurg for some reason. Why do I keep thinking of you know, thinking of him? But yeah. And his alt mode, even though it's a tank, it doesn't look bad. It looks like a really cool tank. So yeah. I know I've been talking about a lot of Transformer toy stuff in this episode, but you can't blame me. I I play this game, and every time I play this game, I remind myself, like, I do want to collect Transformers more. It's just, the reason why I don't is because, like, most of them are quite expensive, right? Like, the Voyager prices are not cheap. And since I prioritize on DC Multiverse a lot, it makes sense that I have to be very picky with what Transformers I do pick up. Like, it's not a... Yeah, cost is one thing, but also space is another thing, too. Like, where am I going to put these guys, right? I mean, I have room for them, but the thing is that I know for a fact that if I go too deep into it, there will be no room eventually in the future. Because I have to make room for DC Multiverse as it is, and other things I collect, so... Oh, that's dangerous. Okay, don't do that, and why... Oh, you have evade, you are annoying. Hold on. No! Man, I'm so bad at this game. I remember back in the day, I was so, like... It's... Okay, alright. You can use your super again. I don't care. But you're gonna get... Please. Yes! Yes! There we go. You didn't get to use a super. But yeah, that's my little talk right there about the Transformer toys. And yeah, I mean, it's not the first time I've talked about stuff like this in these episodes where it's like, yeah, I want this figure. I want a lot of figures, okay? Like, that's the thing about this hobby. The thing about collecting action figures is that once you start, you just don't stop. Like, you want to stop, and then they put out some cool stuff, and you're like, man, I don't want to stop right now. And, you know, I told myself that I would go on a break from DC Multiverse, but it doesn't seem like I am, because there have been some rumors about certain characters that may get released in the future in, you know, the 7-inch scale line. And usually these rumors, you know, they're pretty freaking solid. I would say, like, some of them do happen. I don't know how many have happened. I've never, like, looked back, but yeah, sometimes these rumors, they're not rumors, they are real. So, you know, if the rumors are true that we are getting a Poison Ivy, a Black Canary, and a Ventana figure, yeah, I'm not taking a break. I gotta lock in a pre-orders for all three of those figures right there, because I know what will happen. I know what will happen when they go, if it becomes real and they do go up for pre-order. They're gonna sell out like crazy. That's what's gonna happen. So that's the life of collecting action figures. You want to stop, but then at the same time, you can't. Well, actually, it depends on what line you're collecting. Like in this case with like my DC Multiverse stuff, yeah, there's really no full-on break where I go on a break from collecting for like a year. Like maybe for like a few months I don't buy anything, but like, which is good enough, I guess. Like that's a good enough break until the next thing. And luckily I don't buy every single figure. And I was having this discussion with uh someone recently as well, not just someone in my comments, but also someone that I know in real life, about the fact that, you know, collecting can be a pain in the ass sometimes. Like, it is a hassle with this hobby. Like the things that I tell people, like I have a friend who I've been talking to, and this is the person that I've been talking to recently, and he was like asking me like, you know, how should I start collecting action figures? And I told him, I don't know. Like, honestly, it depends on what you're interested in. Like, that's the first thing. That's the most important thing. It's like, what is your interest? Like, what is it that you want in action figure form? And even if you do start collecting, I told him that there are a lot of problems with collecting action figures. And that is, you have to deal with stock, right? Can you get this figure, right? For whatever you're buying. And if this is a very sought after item, are you willing to pre-order right away, or are you willing to wait for a sale? Like, there are all these things that you have to make decisions on, and sometimes you regret them. Like, there's been a few times where I regret pre-ordering something only to realize that it never sold out when it came out officially, right? Like, the street date happened, and then there was stock for it for the next couple months, and it never really ran out of stock. So, when things like that happen, you're like, well, why did I jump on this early? I could have waited for a sale. But that's the problem. It's like you don't know. Sometimes you have to take a gamble with certain things you do. And I'm not saying that you have to, but that's the thing about this hobby is like whenever like a new figure gets revealed or a new thing comes out that you're interested in, you have like these dots going on. And I mean that's how I explain it to him. But yeah. Okay, that is going to be the end of today's episode. As you see, we have completed it. There we go. And I believe I've say chapter 1 is complete, right? It is. Okay. Alrighty. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little ramble I had going on in this episode. If you did, give this video a like. If you want to subscribe for more Transformers Force of Fight content, and of course the action figure content that I do put on this channel, um, do give this video, wait, what am I saying? Give this channel a subscribe, not this video. Give this channel a subscribe if you, want to stay up to date. Man, I can't even speak right now. I'm at the end of this episode. Usually, I'm always good at ending off the video. Okay, with that said, take care, and I'll see you in the next video.